For a lot of people, this would have been better as a TV movie of the week. It got a big screen release. And obviously, what was kind of bizarre here, because Charlton Heston did a similar movie a few years later, like regarding the airport sequel. But this movie called Skyjacked was a thriller for its time, and it's basically a lost film. You never see it on TV or streaming services. Came out in '72, a disaster film starring Heston and the beautiful Yvette Mimieux. Directed by John Gillerman, the film is based on David Harper's novel Hijacked. James Brolin leads the rest of the ensemble cast, primarily playing the roles of passengers and crew aboard the airliner. Skyjack was the last of actress Jean Crane's 64 films. It was a film debut for several actors and actresses, including Susan Day of Partridge Family and Ellie Law fame, and of course the former NFL star Rosie Greer. Now in this one, during a routine flight to Minneapolis, a passenger Susan Day aboard Global Airways Flight 502, a Boeing 707, discovers a bomb threat written in lipstick on the mirror of a first-class bathroom. Captain Hawk O'Hara, a great name by the way, believes it might be a hoax, but when a second lipstick threat is left on a stewardess serving tray, he is convinced to follow its instructions. Bomb on plane, divert to Anchorage, Alaska, no joke, no tricks, death. To avoid an explosive decompression en route, he flies at lower altitude, increasing fuel consumption. The captain is not convinced by passenger Roosevelt Greer that he's erratically behaving seatmate Sergeant Jerome Weber. James Brolin is the hijacker. Severe storms plague the trip north and drain even more fuel. Visibility approaching the airport is so poor, a United States Air Force ground control approach specialist, Claude Akins, is called in. His radar shows the airliner on a collision course with a small plane with evident radio failure, but Flight 502 has too little fuel for a go-around. O'Hara sees the other aircraft at the last moment and manages to avoid a collision, then is talked down safely. Once on the ground, passengers attempt to disarm Weber, a Vietnam veteran driven insane by war trauma, but he brandishes a pistol and manages to fend him off. He pulls the pin from a grenade and threatens to detonate it if anyone attempts to interfere with his plans. Now, Weber goes to the cockpit and demands the aircraft be refueled. While he's occupied, they are bossing everyone around. The lead stewardess, played by Mimieux, oversees the escape of the economy class passengers by emergency slide. Weber is upset when he discovers this, but allows the other three stewardesses to leave. He keeps the remaining crew and first-class passengers as hostages, including U.S. Senator, played by Walter Pidgeon, and a pregnant woman played excellently by Mariette Hartley, who has gone as premature labor due to the crisis. Now, Weber eventually demands to be flown to Moscow, where he intends to defect to the Soviet Union. A federal agent who had slipped on board gets frostbitten in an unheated hold. Although the Soviets deny clearance into their airspace, the increasingly agitated Weber forces the pilots to continue on. As they enter Soviet airspace, O'Hara orders the landing gear down, reduces airspeed, and broadcasts her situation to Soviet ground control. The aircraft is eventually surrounded by aggressive Soviet fighter jets, which eventually escort the plane to the Moscow airport. Upon landing there, the airliner is ordered to stop at a siding, where it is encircled by armed soldiers. The remaining crew and passengers are finally released, leaving only O'Hara and Weber. Weber, who had nursed fantasies of being received by the Soviets as a hero, is jubilant to have been seemingly achieved his dreams and gloats to O'Hara that he's never even had a bomb. When he realizes the Soviet forces have deployed to attack rather than welcome him, he straps on a bandolier of grenades and produces an automatic weapon. When O'Hara tries to jump him, Weber shoots him and leads him down the air stair to the landing strip. As the soldiers prepare to fire and Weber pulls a pin from a grenade, O'Hara manages to push free. A fuselage then follows. Weber is cut down and falls on his own grenade. O'Hara survived and is placed on a stretcher. Gazing skyward, he smiles with relief as he spots the departing aircraft overhead. Now, written by Staniel R. Greenberg, with Gillerman as director, produced by Walter Seltzer, cinematography by Harry Stradling Jr., edited by Robert Swink, music by Perry Botkin Jr., production companies included Walter Seltzer Productions, distributed by MGM, came in at a fast 101 minutes, only cost 1.7, but got 6.55 million at the box office. Now, other key actors in it include, of course, Jean Crane and Mrs. Claire Shaw, Ken Swafford, Leslie Uggams, Nicholas Hammond, and John Hillerman as Walter Brent. Now, the movie was based on a trend in the States. Between 61 and 73, Nearly 160 hijackings took place in American airspace. David Harper's novel, Hijacked, was published in 1970. Now, film rights were bought by Walter Seltzer, and of course, Heston had made 4 films with Seltzer up in that time. Under the working titles Hijacked and Airborne, principal photography took place from early January to early March 72. The production obtained a World Airways Boeing 707 to play the part of the Global Airways airliner. With 90% of filming done inside a 707 set, Charlton Heston compared his work there to what director Alfred Hitchcock had achieved in filming Lifeboat. The then still current Air National Guard North American F-100 Super Sabres of the 188 Fighter Squadron were painted as the Soviet interceptors. Oakland International was used for the airport scenes, and some of the Soviet soldiers at the Moscow airport are carrying actually M16s. The sedans are Swedish Volvo 164s. Now, filming took place in early 72, and Heston, in his famous book, which included his diary on the movie, I've never done a film with so many scenes I wasn't in. Still, there was a 707, all be crewed and passengered. I did get a chance to try my uniform on. I look okay. January 5th. My first scene today consisted of walking out of the cockpit and into the can. Very demanding bit of emoting here. January 20th. The opening shots went well. John utilizing his talent for richer texture and full shots, most with a moving camera. He provided a good introductory scene for me. I'm beginning to realize this is not a rich role, of course. Nonetheless, if the film comes off, it'll help me. I'm beginning to think it will. Skyjacked looks surprisingly good. I was relieved to see it seems very tight. A pleasure for a change to be in a film that runs under 2 hours. It's been some time. Now, the film, again, was extremely profitable. It was one of MGM's bigger hits of 72, along with Shaft and Kansas City Bomber. Now, in 2020, Phil Mink called it a solid piece of classical entertainment, which was one of the best movies made at MGM under the regime of James Aubrey. Charlton Heston was born to play a pilot. Now, Paul Mavis, writing for Movies and Drinks in 2002, appreciated his non-glossy approach to the disaster genre. This is a straightforward, simple, mean little suspense thriller, extremely well told by director Gillerman and screenwriter Greenberg, and unpretentiously unembellished. Now, I only saw parts of this on the French channel. I noticed right away, this is one of the first movies where Heston wasn't scared to show his thinning hair to its full effect. That's what stood out for me. But it is interesting that he would do the Airport sequel later on after this one, because doing 2 of these movies in just a few years seems kind of stacked against him, because by the time this was still in the theaters, Airport was being filmed. So that's the story of Skyjacked. If you ever watch the movie, let me know. If you've seen the whole thing, tell me what you think. If you like what we're doing here with reviews of vintage movies from the 1970s, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share. Bye.